All right, strap yourselves in because today we're going deep, really deep into hurricane territory.
Deep into the heart of the storm, you could say.
That's a good one. But seriously, folks, when we say worst hurricanes in history, we mean it. We're talking those storms that left their mark on the world. Worst hurricanes in history. And, well, we're ready to unpack that.
Absolutely. I can't wait to delve into this. Hurricanes are such a potent force of nature, and understanding what makes them devastating, well, it's crucial, isn't it?
It totally is. So before we get swept away by the sheer power of these storms, let's pause and think about what worst actually means. I mean, is it the highest death toll? Or the biggest financial hit? Or maybe even the hurricane with the most long-lasting effects on society? What do you think?
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's really a multifaceted thing, isn't it? Each of those aspects, death toll, economic impact, societal change, they all contribute to the worst label. Historically, though, before we had fancy forecasting and communication systems, it was the death toll that really defined a hurricane's devastation.
Yeah, because back then, a storm could just roll in with hardly any warning. Right?
Exactly. Can you imagine going to sleep one night and waking up to a completely different world?
It's almost impossible to grasp, isn't it?
It is, and there are so many examples from before we even started properly recording these events. We have fragments of stories, whispers from the past that hint at the sheer terror of these storms.
Give us an example. Paint us a picture.
Okay, picture this. The Great Hurricane of 1780. This monster storm tore through the Caribbean, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The death toll is believed to be well over 20,000 people, and some estimates even put it closer to 27,000.
27,000, that's just mind-blowing.
It is. Think about it. Entire islands stripped bare. Crops destroyed. Ships tossed around like toys. It was utter devastation. And that vulnerability, that's what made these early hurricanes so terrifying. They could literally reshape societies.
And today, I imagine the worst label is more often tied to the financial cost of hurricanes, right?
You're absolutely right. Loss of life is still a tragic reality, of course, but as we've developed better warning systems and infrastructure, the economic impact of these storms has skyrocketed.
It makes sense, I guess. The more we build up our coastlines, the more there is to lose. Right?
Exactly. Take Hurricane Katrina in 2005, for instance.
Oh gosh, Katrina. Those images of New Orleans underwater are seared into my memory. It felt like the entire city was being swallowed by the storm.
Yeah, Katrina is a perfect example of how the worst can be measured in economic terms. The estimated damage from that storm was over $161 billion, and a huge chunk of that was due to the destruction of infrastructure in New Orleans and along the Gulf Coast.
It really highlights that scary feedback loop we were talking about, doesn't it? The more we build along the coast, the higher the stakes become when a hurricane hits.
It's a difficult balance to strike, for sure. But even beyond the financial cost, hurricanes leave scars that run much deeper.
Right. The human impact, the stories of survival, resilience, and rebuilding, those are just as important.
Absolutely. Every hurricane leaves an indelible mark on the communities it touches. The human stories are just as powerful, sometimes even more so than the raw numbers.
Tell me about one of those stories.
Well, how about the 1900 Galveston hurricane? It still stands as the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history, with an estimated 8,000 lives lost. But what's really fascinating is how this one single storm completely changed the course of history for Galveston and even for Texas as a whole.
Wait, really? Tell me more.
Okay, so picture Galveston in 1900. It was a bustling port city, considered by some to even rival New York in terms of its economic importance. Then this hurricane hit, and the storm surge. It was so powerful that it reshaped the coastline of Galveston Island. Homes were swept away, businesses destroyed, and the human toll was unimaginable. And the economic impact was so severe that the center of power in Texas eventually shifted inland to Houston.
Wow, I had no idea that Galveston's decline was directly tied to that hurricane. It's amazing how these events can have such ripple effects. It makes you wonder, did Katrina lead to any major changes in disaster preparedness policy?
Absolutely. After Katrina, there was a huge push to revamp building codes and strengthen flood protection systems in hurricane-prone areas. The storm exposed vulnerabilities that had been overlooked or just plain ignored for far too long, and it sparked a nationwide conversation about how we prepare for and respond to these disasters.
So in a way, even the worst hurricanes can lead to positive changes, right?
They can. But the Galveston example, it reminds us that those changes often come at a terrible price. Thousands of lives were lost in that storm, and an entire city's future was irrevocably altered. And that brings us to a crucial question. As climate change potentially fuels even stronger and more frequent hurricanes, are we ready for what's coming?
That's a sobering thought, for sure. We can learn from the past, but are we doing enough to prepare for the future?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Well, we've only just dipped our toes into the vast ocean of hurricane history today, but it's been an eye-opening journey. I mean, for every hurricane we've talked about, there are countless others, each with its own unique story of destruction, resilience, and lasting change. It's a reminder that these storms, they're more than just wind and rain. They're forces of nature that can shape the world around us in ways we can't always predict.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that's why I encourage everyone listening, don't stop here. If something we've talked about today piqued your interest, dive deeper. Pick a hurricane, do some research. You might be surprised by what you discover. There are so many incredible stories out there waiting to be uncovered.
And who knows? Maybe those stories will inspire us to build a more resilient future, a future where we're better prepared to weather the storms, whatever form they may take. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. Stay safe, everyone.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Smash that like button.
Please subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to
Historian Kid channel.
Catchy. We hope you enjoyed this dive into history. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Your support helps us bring history to life every day. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next episode. What lesser-known historical figures do you think deserve more attention? Get people talking